They got every horse girl off of Tinder. Every horse girl. Every single one. They typed into the search bar, I like to travel, right? On the Tinder database. And all of these girls popped up and they invited them all in. That's how they did that. Now that we've got the warm-up out of the way, I think we are good to talk about some of this shit. Hey, Caitlyn Jenner, how's it going? Caitlyn Jenner wants a commission to determine which trans girls are
truly trans.
Yeah, same here. Same here, buddy. What the fuck? John John's making me come. That's delicious. Oh, boy. I don't understand these pick-me's, dude. I really don't. There was something similar. I haven't pulled it up, but let me do that right now. Buck Angel. Buck Angel was licking, absolutely slobbering on JKR's ass, dude. Like, it was disgusting. I gotta be careful with his profile, though. He is a porn artist, or a porn actor. Here we go. Yes, baby. This is it. This is what I was looking for. I'll put it right there. J.K. Rowling says,
yes, sweetheart. I'm staying right here on this hill, defending the right of women and girls to talk about themselves, their bodies, and their lives in any way they damn well please. You worry about your legacy. I'll worry about mine.
Love that shit. And Blair White says,
and those of us with a brain appreciate you so much, you've only further solidified your icon status, queen.
Go off, queen. And then Buck Angel says,
the bully behavior in the name of trans rights is so insane.
Dude, what is wrong with these people, man? I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. Like, it's cuckoldry in the most extreme sense. Like, they're forfeiting their entire identities, everything that they are, for what, a child's wizard author? You know? And I tweeted this out, by the way. I'm like, it is almost poetic that the top-selling fantasy fiction author of our generation is a TERF, right? Like, that's all there is to it. Bully behavior as trans kids are being ripped from their parents and having their childhood ruined even more. Exactly. Dude, her platform is massive. Don't forget, she has 13.9 million followers, okay? What's also really good is she called out Vosh, which was amazing. Let me pull that up. Yeah, there you are. Wait, right here.
What you and your ilk fail to appreciate is how tediously familiar I find your tactics. I had a violent ex-husband who used to tell me life would be great if only I comply, but you're making the same mistake he did. Women like me can't be bullied out of resistance.
He said, all J.K. Rowling has to do was shut the fuck up and she could have been almost uncritically beloved for like a century. Women be quieter and start apologizing challenge. Boom. Got it? Dude, clip it and ship it. That's disgusting misogyny. See? Vosh is a misogynist. I've proved it. I've proven it. Definitely not his very flat, dry sense of humor that he engages in all the time. Definitely not that. And then Vosh replied, listen, Joanne, you don't get to play the victim card when you're the advocate for taking away women's rights here. Trans women are raped and killed in men's facilities, and you want to keep them there because of your trauma. Quit making your feelings other people's oppression. Boom! Got it. That's fucking sick, okay? Vosh, absolute king. I don't care what anybody says about him. Absolute fucking king, dude. And of course, he's trending right now. Where's it at? So Rowling is trending. I just saw Vosh trending. Where's he at? Content creator Vosh criticizes Arthur J.K. Rowling for a series of tweets responding to the UK Shadow Minister of Equality's Annalise Dodd's comments about the Labour Party's definition of a woman. That's sick, dude. How is he always trending? It's because he is a hugely controversial figure. I don't really understand why myself, to be honest. Like, people just fucking hate him. Anyway, enough about that stuff. Georgia's now trying to pass their own Don't Say Gay bill. This is getting depressing. Yes, it's true. Georgia, the same day the Florida legislature passed its Don't Say Gay bill, sending it to Governor Ron DeSantis to be signed into law, Georgia lawmakers filed similar legislation in their state. State Senate Cardin Summers introduced SB 613 on Tuesday, combining the GOP's two main wedge issues into one bill, critical race theory and LGBTQ plus rights. Unlike in Florida, Georgia's bill bans the discussion of any and all LGBTQ plus topics in private schools, not public schools. The General Assembly finds as follows. 1. That in recent years, a growing number of Georgia's private non-public schools have embraced curricula and programs based in critical theory. Additionally, some teachers and other personnel in private and non-public schools and programs have inappropriately discussed gender identity with children who have not yet reached the age of discretion. SB 613 claims that such a focus on racial and gender identity and its resulting discrimination on the basis of color, race, ethnicity, and national origin is destructive to the fabric of American society. Oh my goodness, that is unbelievably stupid. The only fabric of American society that I can even begin to draw a parallel to or like draw some kind of connection here to is the flag. Like, that's our entire fabric, okay? American society is built on a fucking McDonald's. Okay, that's it. Note the Georgia House has already approved a bill to ban critical race theory in public schools. So they're just including the critical race theory in here to be like, no, we're serious about this. They're just double dipping on that. They're like, why not? Why not? Fuck it. While we're stripping gay and trans people of their rights, just double dip, man. Just do it. Double dip on black people too. We hate them as well, right? So that's Georgia. And this one is Iowa. Governor Kim Reynolds signs the transgender athlete ban into law. Transgender girls and women will no longer be allowed to play women's sports in Iowa schools and colleges. Now, this right here is quite a diverse cast of girls. Let me tell you something. I see girls that have blonde hair, and there's light white girls and dark white girls and girls wearing pink and girls wearing gray. Oh boy. And of course you have Dad back here who's like,
oh, I'm here too. I hate trans people as well.
Oh man, this is beautiful, dude. Absolutely beautiful. Fuck you, Kim Reynolds. It's a dog whistle, okay? By banning women from competing in women's sports, you are saying that they're not real women. Okay, so it's just a fucking dog whistle. That's all it is. How do they look like Marcia Brady from the Brady Bunch? I honestly don't know. I haven't ever watched the Brady Bunch, but I think I know exactly who you're talking about. You know what they are? They got every horse girl off of Tinder. Every horse girl. Every single one. They typed into the search bar, I like to travel, right? On the Tinder database. And all of these girls popped up and they invited them all in. That's how they did that. I've never seen a group of women that I would swipe left very quickly on just based on the fact that they love to travel, right? That just tells me that you're the most boring woman in existence. All right, sorry. Don't care how attractive you are. Just saying. All right, moving on. We got more. Oh, you thought it was over?
I don't think so, dude. Not by a long shot.
Idaho's House just passed HB 675, passed by a vote of 55 to 13. Now that's something else. It would make providing gender-affirming care to trans teens a felony with a life sentence. Worse, it makes leaving the state with your trans teen to move elsewhere and provide them with care a felony offense. Holy fuck, dude. That's absolutely terrifying. I'm not going to read all of this. We'll just read the highlighted parts. So it includes puberty blocking medication to stop or delay normal puberty, aka puberty blockers, supraphysiological doses of testosterone to a female, or supraphysiological doses of estrogen to a male, or removing any otherwise healthy or non-diseased body parts or tissue. Except as provided in subsection of this section, whoever knowingly removes or causes, permits, facilitates the removal of a child from this state for the purposes of facilitating in any act prohibited by subsection 1 of this section shall be guilty of a felony. Any person convicted of a violation of this section shall be guilty of a felony and shall be imprisoned in the state prison for a term of not more than life. A life sentence, a felony charge for the crime of trying to accept your trans child with open arms. I cannot think of anything more disgusting than this. Here, I got a perfect tweet, actually. I got a perfect tweet that I wrote. I'm going to reference you guys to this real quick. Let me pull it up. Here we go. I want to be perfectly clear that the state-led trans genocide occurring across the country goes against every academic paper, every scientific journal, every peer-reviewed study that exists on the topic of trans care. It's anti-science, utterly baseless, and most of all, abusive. We haven't seen a push this hard toward anti-science since we forbade the teaching of evolution in schools, but this is even worse, because along with shutting down academic inquiry, we are denying people medical care that is very necessary and often even life-saving. If these atrocious bills pop up in your state, fight them with everything you have. I live in Ohio, and it's only a matter of time. I will be the first to haul ass to my representative's office and shove scientific literature down their throats until they're shitting trans flags. And I stand by that statement 100%. There's a database website that basically just collects data on all these bills that are trying to be passed, right? Like it updates them. And there's 3 bills currently waiting in Ohio's legislature to be judged upon, right? 2 of them, I believe, are like almost exactly the same. The wording's a little bit changed. And those 2 are about trans women in sports. And then the other one is about like underage trans treatments. Thankfully, I haven't heard anything recently about either of those. I pray to God that they stay away, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I do think that this virus, right, this disgusting disease is going to spread to Ohio, because it's already happening in Indiana as well. Texas, Iowa, Idaho. There are many, many, many states, Tennessee, many states in the Midwest that are just going buck wild, dude. I want to keep going on the Idaho thing. We're not going to watch this whole thing. I was listening to Keffels as she was watching the House, Idaho's House, debate this bill, right? And keep in mind, it was a vote of 50-something to 13. I think 52 to 13, right? And I just want to take a look at a few people here. I want to give you a little bit of an idea of how most of these people sound. Now, this is Mr. Ben Adams, who spoke a little bit later, and he has an absolutely brilliant take on this. Spoiler alert, he doesn't actually. I'm being sarcastic. Just take a look.
Science is awfully hard to settle because the concept of science is that we're actually constantly learning, right? I want to talk about mental health for a second. I have a cousin. It's not my child, but a cousin who went through a lot of trauma.
It's a good sign when they start off with an anecdote.
In her teen years, early teen years, lost her mother at a young age, went into a spiral. Her dad didn't know how to handle any of it. It was a messy situation. And that's not like this in every case, but in this case it was. And
by the way, right off the bat, you can tell by the haircut, right? And like kind of the skull structure that this guy is going to say some shit, okay?
She decided
something about the soy jawline.
She identified as a man. And once she turned the age of 18, went through surgeries to try and make herself a man.
You're gay.
Ignore that.
This guy voted in favor. I wish one of these anecdotal Andys would just be honest and just be like, so,
Anecdotal Adams,
I was on my
John.
computer. I had Pornhub open. I was jerking off to what I thought was a really hot scene where a woman was giving a man a blowjob, and turns out the goddamn woman had a wiener.
That take, honestly, from Keffels is the best take on this entire thing. That's all this is about.
I feel so betrayed. I'm going to take away trans people's rights. Like, be honest. Be honest. This happened to at least one of them. Absolutely did. I know it happened.
Man, because she didn't have a physical health problem. She had a mental health problem.
So I don't understand where these people are coming from saying, well, this is a mental health problem. It requires medication. It requires therapy, right? Okay, maybe, but you also need to take into consideration that these people don't like the way their bodies look, and that's going to have a strong impact on your brain functioning.
We all have some ethos that we live by. And when we come into this body as individuals, generally, we represent or reflect the people that live around us. And I want to share with you some of my ethos. Jesus
He's going to share his ethos all over you, chat.
said in red letters, from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female.
Oh, boy. And there it is. And there it is. You don't even have to watch the rest of it, but I feel like torturing you guys, so we're going to anyway.
And he was quoting from the book of Genesis, which continues, in the image of God, he created them. King David, a man after God's own heart, said in Psalm 139, for you formed my inward parts.
Wait.
You covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. There are so many people in this world who need to hear that. You are fearfully and wonderfully made.
God, he's like looking up at the sky too. Everything about this just is disgusting. It makes me want to vomit, dude.
No accidents, no mistakes.
This guy has Twitter DMs open, by the way. Just saying. Send him a nice little message.
Wait,
don't harass. Don't send anything mean or nasty. Just send him a nice little message.
Did he say N-word parts?
Tell him your thoughts.
Or did I hear that wrong? I'm sorry. I need to know. This is gonna drive me insane.
Jesus said in red letters.
Yeah, this is just straight up a fucking church sermon.
God made them male and female.
N-word.
Oh. And he was quoting from the book of Genesis, which continues in the image of God.
She thought he said N-word.
King David, a man after God's own heart, said in Psalm 139, for you formed my inward parts.
Oh, okay, I hear it now.
You covered me in my mother's womb.
I hear it.
I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. There are so many people in this world.
This lady behind him is so embarrassed to be in the same shot as him while he's doing this. It's fucked up, man.
To hear that, you are fearfully
Don't gotta do her like that.
wonderfully made. No accidents, no mistakes. I support parental rights.
If there's no accidents or mistakes, how do you explain disabilities? Like physical and mental disabilities, right? Like depression, having a bad arm or something. I don't know. Like any kind of deformity. If there are no mistakes, then clearly something's screwy, because you have to accept one of two things, right? Either God is prone to making mistakes, or God loves some people and hates others, okay? That's the only thing that you can take out of Christianity. It has to be one or the other. Like, I honestly prefer the idea of a fallible God, but, you know, they're saying God's perfect, God's plan, whatever. So I guess it's just God's plan to make people want to fucking kill themselves. That's cool.
I do not support child mutilation.
They're all God's blessing. That's
I thank
right.
you, gentlemen, for bringing this legislation forward, and I will be supporting it. I hope you will too.
So yeah, that was probably the most lunatic driven thing that I saw all night, because the rest of the people at least were trying to be like, it's biology, right? But that was certainly a treat. So just to give you guys a little bit of hopium, remember that there were 13 people there who said no to this bill, okay? I want to show you one of them right now. I wanted to show two, but one of them will suffice because it's actually kind of long. All right, so I want to show you guys John Gannon real quick because he is so fucking based in this, I can't even believe it. What a
Giga Chad.
I don't know how he keeps his pants on with a dick that big.
Gentleman from 17.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, this is a difficult subject for all of us, I think. And for me, I had to look at what the evidence was.
Wait, it's not John Gannon. What the fuck? Oh, wait, John Gannon was one of the guys. He's not the Giga Chad, though. He was one of the guys who spoke well, though, of trans people. Ned Burns is the one I was thinking of. Sorry about that. Ned Burns.
Committee meeting in the morning, I can often be found lurking around state affairs. It's a committee that deals with a lot of policy issues that I find very interesting. So last week I tried to sit in when House Bill 675 was being heard by the committee, and I was unable to walk in. There was not a seat available. It was absolutely packed. So I came up here, I sat right here at my desk, and I watched the stream. And multiple trans individuals testified on the record to everyone in that committee that day that had they not had access to the health care that they had, that they would not have been there to testify, that they would have killed themselves. And I know this to be true because I also have a trans family member. My mom's cousin was born a male back in the 60s when the trans condition was barely understood. My second cousin struggled growing up. They were confused, they were combative with family members, ended up on the streets, addicted to alcohol and drugs, several crimes.
Now, he is also using an anecdote, but he's using an anecdote in the proper way because he follows it up with the consequences of this bill. And I think he even invokes some of the statistics, right? An anecdote is good for getting the emotions pumping. As long as it's backed by actual, tangible evidence and consequences, I find it to be an okay thing to do.
Repeated suicide attempts. My entire family was concerned for their well-being. We were concerned that they would overdose and die. We were concerned that they would commit a crime so severe that they would end up in prison and not just jail, or that the next suicide attempt would be successful. My second cousin kind of dropped off the radar for several years. Nobody heard anything. And then they came back, but they were now living as a female. They had gone to a foreign country, and they'd had gender reassignment surgery. And they were now living as they felt they had needed to. Life was much better than before because they were finally living as they were supposed to. So what this bill will do, if it passes, is it will take kids and turn them either into a story like my second cousin's, or they will kill themselves.
Straight up.
Now, to the best of my knowledge, nobody in this room has a trans child. I certainly don't, and I don't believe that any of you do either. We sit around here and we call ourselves pro-life in this body, but if this bill passes, that will most certainly not be true, because a yes vote will be a noose around the neck of kids who want to live, but not like this. A regular point in this institution is that we are the safeguard for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but this bill passing will show that this body is against life unless this body defines how it is to be lived. This bill passing will be taking liberty away because it doesn't fit our definition of liberty, and this bill passing will most certainly take away happiness, and it will instead replace it with depression and with sorrow and with the needless death of more trans individuals. We sit here today, and we will make life and death decisions for families with this vote.
One entire
The language of this bill is so inconsistent with modern medical care. We are going to make the doctors and the nurses and the therapists.
You are right, Manticore. A lot of these people probably actually do want us to kill ourselves. So by appealing to this bill will result in people killing themselves is probably actually a selling point, because they are heartless monsters. You can't appeal to their empathy because they have none.
It is a selling point for many people, unfortunately, but it is important to get that, to rip that mask off and show everybody.
And the parents who are desperate to keep their children alive, we are going to make them felons. Think about that for one more second. We should not be making keeping children alive a crime. In fact, I believe there's legislation
I
pending.
worry this guy is Republican and is only cares because it happened in his personal life. My father
Doesn't
was
matter.
a conservative who only started to care about trans issues because I came out as trans.
When it comes up in your personal life and that's the only reason you end up caring about something, that's fine, guys. That's fine. Guess what? He's on our side now, right? If there was some point in his personal life where he had to deal with this, which there was, and that was what changed his mind, whatever, fine. I don't care. Why does anybody else?
And then after that, he paid for surgeries for me and marched in pride parades for me and was there until his last days.
Sometimes that's what it takes, man.
I think it's completely okay if someone who has more reactionary beliefs changes their position.
Just the opposite. It would make the death of an unborn child a crime. We should be embracing the fact that there is now a way to keep our kids alive who have previously killed themselves.
Mr. Speaker,
Lady from one.
I object.
This absolute, I can't say the C word, this absolute bitch, dude, cuts this guy off. Listen.
On what grounds do you object?
He doesn't know that if these kids don't get this surgery, they're going to die. You can't really
But you don't know that. See, you don't know, right? If you play Russian roulette, that you're going to die. Like, you can't know that. So speaking it's like we have evidence to show that 1 in every 6 people that plays Russian roulette dies, okay? Like, we have data to show that a lot of trans people end up taking their own lives tragically and needlessly because they don't have access to treatment. They don't have people who support them. They don't have the basic medical needs, right? They don't have what they need. And so they end up taking their own lives.
Do you object?
He doesn't know that if these kids don't get this surgery, they're going to die. You can't really make broad statements like that.
Okay, I get the point.
Thank you.
And his opinion is as valid as the other.
Damn, get wrecked. Get wrecked.
Point or two, good gentlemen, you did paint with tempering things within my
Shut
opinion.
the fuck up, lady.
Thank you, Mr.
My
Speaker.
experience, that type of thing.
Hey, mad respect. At least somebody in the room is remaining neutral. You know what I mean? I was actually afraid they'd uphold that objection.
That on everyone would probably be appreciated. But the gentleman has the floor to continue his debate.
Thank you,
Fuck
sir.
off.
Countless hours have been spent on this very
Get
floor
fucked,
debating medical
lady.
freedom in the name of COVID. And in fact, I believe 2 bills after this one will we...
Mr. Speaker.
Good lady from District
Dude,
22.
he's like,
Yeah, how can I help you? You want to say something?
dude, absolute fucking Giga Chad. Monstrous dick, okay? Chad Thundercock over here.
Yeah, this would be the second time he's referred to pending legislation without asking unanimous consent.
Point taken. Don't do it again.
Fair enough. I'm not really referencing it. I'm just pointing out that it will be there. But I would ask unanimous consent to point out that in just 2 short votes, we will be voting on a bill about medical freedom.
That objection.
Mr. Speaker,
I
object. He's making the points without actually asking for permission. If you're going to refer
God, they're so triggered, dude. He's making the points without asking permission, actually.
pending legislation, you need to ask permission prior to referring to the pending legislation.
They would have
Fair enough.
never brought this up if somebody on their side were speaking.
Thank you.
Shut the fuck
Okay,
up, dude.
well-
Actual ghoul.
But now in an instance where we don't agree with how families choose to let their children live their lives, we will take their medical freedom away and
Just
replace
keep
it
doing
with
it. No, they
felony
told him to
charges.
stop. That would have been a bad look.
Freedom for me, but not freedom for thee. The bill sponsor will tell you that he believes intensive therapy is what is needed for children experiencing gender dysphoria. That is already happening. Any parent of a trans child will tell you that they've already spent years in therapy to get to this point.
Yep.
A gender dysphoric child doesn't walk into a consultation and walk out on puberty blockers.
That's another very common misconception is that parents, like crazy SJW blue-haired moms, right, are like forcing their sons to be daughters and their daughters to be sons. Like, that's not going on, okay? And honestly, if anything, a lot of those blue-haired SJWs now are TERFs, so that's really not happening. Anyway, my thing is, he's right. Like, parents who take their children to get treatment for this are not taking any of this lightly. None of it. A lot of them were transphobic, whether like knowingly or unknowingly. Either they didn't get trans issues or they were against trans people. Like Keffels talks about how their dad was transphobic, and conservative. And then they came out to their dad and suddenly he had a revelation. I talked about a guy that I worked with at my own job. He is a recovering drug addict. He's a middle-aged gentleman, let's say, and he has a daughter who has a female to male trans friend. And he's in a lot of trouble because he lives in Indiana and they're vehemently anti-trans, you know? And he's trying to talk to his daughter about this stuff, and he was angry that his daughter was getting confused, is what he called it. And I kind of accidentally discovered this because we were doing a group thing, whatever. Anyway, he comes to me to talk more about it, and I gave him some research on the topic, and he did a 180. It was incredible. You know, the reason I brought that up is because there are just normal ass people who aren't involved in this until it comes into their personal lives. And that's fine. And they don't ever take this stuff lightly, you know, and they ultimately are left with two choices. You can either get on board with it, you can accept it, you can support them both physically and emotionally, or you can risk them committing suicide, you know, taking their own lives.
It takes months, if not years, of care to get to that
or
point.
Or cut them out of your life. There's choice number 3.
Dysphoria is now a well-understood condition, as my family well knows. The medical professionals who treat it are lifesavers. They are not felons.
Straight up.
To think that we know what is best, we being this body, for families of children who are gender dysphoric is a fallacy. This is a body that consistently makes decisions in opposition to medical evidence, and this is a body that consistently makes decisions in opposition to legal advice and to case law as well.
How did this guy end up here?
We consider ourselves the ultimate experts on all things, but our track record of being correct.
Hey, this is me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in the Idaho House of Representatives.
Great. We've got a chance to make a bit of a course correction today that will be in line with modern medicine. A no vote on this bill will save lives, but I fear that a yes vote will be a death sentence in many instances moving forward.
This guy he's so based.
Yes, on kids killing themselves, and I would hope
Straight
that you will
up,
take
dude.
the remaining time before we vote to look deep into your hearts
Fucking
and
king.
ask yourself,
Holy
entire
shit!
legend.
Just like straight up saying,
Spitting.
You just straight up saying you're voting yes on kids killing themselves.
Yeah, spitting. That is what you need to make your messaging about. Like, anybody who supports this bill or anybody who votes in favor of it is saying, yes, we want trans kids to kill themselves. Okay? They're saying that 100%. There's no way around it. Zero way around it. There is hope out there. Okay? This is a man in the Idaho State Senate, or not the Senate, the House of Representatives. Okay? And he's heavily in support of the trans community, as you can see. So even in those areas, even in Texas, you know, there are people in power who are on our side. So don't lose hope. This is the last dying, as I said earlier, this is the dying breath of transphobia in law. Okay? They see the writing on the wall. They remember what happened with black civil rights. They remember what happened with gay marriage rights. And now transitioning rights are on the table. And most people in the US support trans rights. Like 60 or so percent. Not nearly enough, but most, okay? So this is coming whether they like it or not. And they're gonna have to put on their big boy pants and fucking deal with it or get the fuck out.